system of neighborhood councils and the Empower LA team. And so I met Beth recently. We're working together, as I said, in the back office of helping to run the neighborhood council elections. We've got Rashad here, who's the independent election administrator for, is it this region? Region 9, so nearby. And also helping to get great candidates and helping us run successful neighborhood council elections. So I met Beth in this adventure, and like me, the candidate yet is going to be a candidate. I'm a candidate for my neighborhood council for the first time as well. So we're in the trenches in that way, getting involved in neighborhood councils. And Beth had an idea herself, and from the ground level, started something herself, and she's going to tell you about that and tell you about the idea of partnering directly with neighborhood councils. And that's one action item I can take forward, is how with all of these great organizations and these great partnerships, how can we as neighborhood councils and community members partner with people directly, and how can we be the impetus of something to grow from our ideas and our efforts with all the support that we have available to us.
Thank you, Kevin. So Kevin says it was my idea. It wasn't my idea at all to work with at-risk kids of LA. I also moved here from the East Coast, bought a gorgeous house in a really nice neighborhood. Within that first year, from my living room, heard 9 gunshot incidents within a year. I really didn't expect that. Moving to LA, I had heard about gangs, but didn't think I would be directly involved or related with gang members. So in June of 2006, the first youth was shot after I moved here. And she was an 18-year-old high school student who was standing in the alley near her home, shot and killed by gang activity. 2 days later, 2 additional youth were shot and killed. Went to a candlelight vigil. The first young girl's brother was there, and he spoke. And he looked at a group of people about this size and said, and he was a known gang member, and he said, "I wish I knew there was this much support in the community without having to lose my sister." That's what got me involved. I thought, how do these kids know that we care? That there are people that care about the decisions that they make? How do they make other decisions? What do they know? Their brothers, their uncles, their fathers, if their fathers are even in their lives, are gang members. They're in prison. So that's what they know. And we weren't offering them anything different. And so that's what I started. I worked with the captain of the police department. I worked with the city council members, the school board member, the city attorney's office, and we all came to a room and we decided, okay, they're about to have 3 weeks off in December, between December and January. What are we going to do with these kids? And so what we did, and I'll pass this around, is we created a 3-week program, and we had field trips. We got buses from the city council members. We actually worked with Inner City Arts, and they came and, you know, the kids made clay faces. They played basketball with the police officers. The same police officers that they only knew, who came into their community and took their men away. Their brothers, their cousins, their best friends from grade school. So then they were creating a relationship. And as Bobby said, it's about the relationships. It's about these kids knowing that somebody cares. And so I'll just pass this around. We had a professional photographer who was on the neighborhood council, came out every single day and took pictures. So I created this book, and at the end, each kid came up to give us a hug. So all the officers were lined up, and I partnered with LAPD. It's possible. LAPD will tell you that they don't have resources. They have resources. They have enough resources to lock these kids up for medical marijuana possession and graffiti. We also have the resources to make sure that they're preventative. So over the next couple of years, we continued to run the program. We worked with Parks and Recs, where we used their space, we used their staff, and during the school breaks is when we brought these kids in. So every school break, we would plan field trips all over the city. This was 6 years ago. 2 years ago, I started the nonprofit Stepping Forward. I was able to hire my kids that started with me in the program as staff, because they knew what we wanted to create. They knew these kids, they knew the streets, they knew the lessons. that we needed to teach them. So I've had many conversations, and I've had young men much taller than myself, much larger than myself, sort of backed up against the wall, telling them, you made a mess, you need to clean it up. You're thinking about joining a gang, I'm here to tell you that's the wrong choice. And let me tell you what I see in you. And let me tell you why I don't think that's a good decision. And all I can do is have my say, but somebody needs to be talking to these kids. These kids want to listen. They want to know that we're there. They want to know that we care. They want to go to the museums. They want to learn. We planned the program for 5 weeks. We had no idea if anyone was going to show up. On day one, 32 kids showed up, and we were thrilled. By Friday, we had 108 kids, because those 32 kids went and told, we fed them too. I think that might have helped. But we fed them, we played basketball with them, we took them roller skating, which is what they want to do. But we also took them to the Museum of Tolerance. On the anniversary of the death of the young girl who was killed, we had a pastor come and talk about, why we are having this program, why we are here. And we had over 100 volunteers come from the community, from the neighborhood council, but also from the community. They were field trip chaperones. They taught art lessons. They did improv. They taught dance. They really got involved, and they wanted to be involved. I think everybody wants to be involved, but we don't know what to get involved with. And so if you create it, they truly will come. Not just the kids, but the adults too. And the adults got to meet the kids that walked down the street in batches of 5. Well, they're not walking down the street in batches of 5 because they want to create problems, which is how we see them. They're walking down the street in batches of 5 to be safe. They have to do that to be safe, because if they are one at a time, they're in jeopardy of getting jumped into gangs. My kids are constantly having to fight, not only other people coming in and jumping them into gangs, but the temptation. When they lose hope, they lose hope. When we lose hope, it's different. We still know that there are support. Their parents are incarcerated. Their parents are, so many of them are addicted to crack cocaine. They are homeless. They're living in hotels. And these kids are just trying to get up every day and do what they need to do. And without our intervention, literally when I had the conversation with Chad about joining a gang, one, he wouldn't see me for a long time. I texted him every day. I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of who you are. I'm not proud of a decision you're about to make. They're two separate things. And that's all these kids need to hear. And he didn't want me to see him because he knew he wanted me to maintain the view that I had of him. He didn't want me to see him when he was down about to get jumped into a gang and allowing it to happen. But he luckily didn't join a gang. He has a job in construction. And when he is physically strong, he is mentally strong. And actually the boys are a lot easier because you can just run them ragged on the basketball court or playing soccer or in some, the girls are harder. But if you influence the boys, they can help influence the girls to make the right decisions too. We took the girls to have their hair and their nails done. They loved it. And that's when they kind of thought, okay, this is about me too. There are people taking care of me, and I want to do the right thing. We had some of our kids who were very, very bad in school, very bad, because they were playing a role, because they had to play that role to survive on the street. It is not something I ever in my childhood had to deal with. So they have taught me so much. But we took them back to the dean, and they apologized. And then they had a totally different relationship with the dean. And now, just yesterday, I got a text from one saying, I want to clean up this neighborhood. And he's actually the same young man that there was a pastor who was killed in Culver City, and he worked with LAPD to get the murderer in jail at a huge risk to his personal safety. But these kids want their streets to be clean. But without us, they cannot do it. Without them, we cannot do it. So to collaborate with them, to collaborate with the neighborhood council was instrumental. in the work that we did, in the funding, in the volunteers. I mean, everyone came out and volunteered. They got donations. We had food. That's where I met Jay Handel. You know, I've really been working very closely with the neighborhood councils over the years. I didn't look at the start. What am I? Okay. So I have to say, it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. I'm leaving here today to go to Santa Monica College because one of my kids is playing football, without a doubt. But his grades are terrible. His mother's a coke addict. He lives on the street more than he doesn't. His sister has a baby that he takes because she leaves with her boyfriend all the time. This kid's still in it. So for us to be in it with them, it's easy. Because they will struggle. They will teach you more than you will ever teach them. They are my kids. You know, LAPD picks up my kids and I go and I look at them on the other side of the plexiglass and say, okay, you made a mistake. You made a mistake. I'm here. And we're going to get you through this. And this is just but one mistake in your life. I've made them too. That's all they want. They just want to know they're not alone. And a lot of these kids, unfortunately, do believe they're alone. And so programs like, you know, CIS, we had AmeriCorps volunteers working with these kids. They're in college, they're making the right decisions. They are the best role models for these kids. Inner City Arts, we've, you know, collaborated. It's all about a collaboration. The more people you can bring to working with these kids, the easier it is for you, quite honestly. But also the more rewarding it is for everybody because everybody's playing a role in creating these relationships. And, you know, seeing the kids with the officers and calling the officers by their nicknames, you know, but still showing them a great deal of respect, but not giving them, you know, any special behavior out on the basketball court was really amazing. And seeing the parents' outlook on the officers was just an added benefit. We had an outside evaluation come in. One of the proudest things that I saw was that when the students were asked on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, what did you think about this program? It was a 9.7. So, I mean, we had fun with them, but we also taught them along the way. Museum of Tolerance, one of my kids, 6 years later, I hadn't seen him in about 2 years. Saw him at the park after an election that I was running, and he said, oh my gosh, you remember when you took us to the Museum of Tolerance? That changed my life. He said, don't you remember how we all got calm after that? And I said, no, I don't remember you ever being calm. And I ended up meeting with him for 3 months every single day to get him ready to be one of my staff members. He had no concept of work ethic because he didn't live in a household where anyone worked. You know, they were Section 8. So these kids want to learn, and it's really up to us as the larger community to help them and give them the resources and the skills, and most importantly, the hope. So it can be done. It's collaborative. I hope that this is the start of a conversation. You know, definitely Chief Storms. I love to hear that the fire station, many of our staff and our kids want to be firefighters. We have a fire station right there. We took them over the firemen and taught them how to cook. You know, and again, it's the male influence. Most of the firefighters at that station are men. They hung out. I left the room, and they came back all excited about what they cooked and what they learned, and you know what this firefighter used to do and what he does now, and his kids, and it's about those relationships. And it's really just that easy. It's about building relationships with the youth.
So we're going to open it up to questions and a conversation. When I say questions and a conversation, questions if you have questions for our panelists, and conversation if you have something that you want to address everybody and say, hey, I have this organization too. If you take one quick minute and let people know how you want to partner with them. Real quickly, I just want to encourage everybody that's here that wants to be, that is either a member of their neighborhood council as a board member, ran for election, is running for election, just shows up to the meetings. Every single one of you has the opportunity to either join a committee or start and chair a committee or chair an existing committee that doesn't have a chair. I'm on the youth advocacy committee in my neighborhood council. Not every neighborhood council has that title. It might be the youth and public safety, it might not exist at all. So education, whatever it is, whatever your idea is, that can be a starting point for you. Become the conduit for your group of people that show up and say, I want to be a volunteer. Become the connection to organizations like this for your neighborhood council. Be the chair of your committee or join the committee in this respect. So I think that would be a great action item for you guys moving forward. So let's open it up for questions and conversation.